I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where we break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. And today we're doing Manchester City against Manchester United. No one can remember the last time Manchester City won, and Pep Guardiola is having a bit of a panic attack, which honestly is, it's sad to see, a human going through such stress, but also it's kind of funny because, with all the high ups that you get, you have to also deal with the really low downs, and he's dealing with the really low downs right now at the moment. So we're going to talk about this first sort of goal here from Man City, and there's a couple of points I want to make as well, and talk about sort of phases of play. Now, people hear this sort of stuff, but they don't really know what they're talking about, and they end up just repeating stuff. Oh, it's a defensive phase of play. Well, inside of those phases of play, they have things called microcycles and micro phases of play and all sorts of little technical words. It gets really sort of gefunkled, and they try to make it sound as technical as possible so coaches sound smart, and most other people don't end up repeating it because they don't really know what they're actually trying to say or what they're doing. So right now, when you're taking your corner, you're setting up for a set piece, an OS, or depending on how they want to phrase it in their particular club. So you have your set sort of play. This is where people are going to be marking their zones and all that sort of rubbish. But then you're also setting up for the next microcycle after that. Well, what's those microcycles? If you win the ball, if you don't win the ball, if the ball gets recycled by them, or how do you deal with the next part of that phase or that progression until you get possession back and you can transition into your attacking setup, or you're actually set properly in your defensive setup. Okay, so right now we're looking at that, and that's one of the key moments we're really trying to think about here. So when this ball's getting played in and they're actually going through this little phase, here's the plot right here, because this is the key area we're gonna be sort of spotting here for United. Now this is shocking because you've got all these players here, and more importantly, you've got a player jogging away, and this is the guy who's going to end up scoring the goal. And this is the important part. So you've got pressure on the ball. Okay, great. But what everybody else needs to be doing is setting themselves up for that microcycle of defending the cross. It's almost the same as defending a set piece. There's not much difference from what they were doing 10 seconds, well, less than a couple of seconds ago to now. But that little gap between those two things is what they've struggled on with here. People have lost players, people have lost concentration, and players right here have just gone for a little Johnny Walkabout, trying to think, okay, we're going to win the ball. The other thing I'm not happy with is, really, if you're defending, I always want someone up here in the D. If you watch any of my videos, you'll see before how many goals get scored because someone isn't defending here, and there's always someone free here. Very important there, but that just comes down to more of their structure and the way that they're set up. So when this ball gets knocked back here, we're going to have a little look. Can you see the run? And you see the two stagnant players. This is the key. You've got two stagnant players, boom, 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 marking the same area, doing the same job, and no one has picked up the runner. And yeah, I know it's a bit of a loopy, bouncy, bit of a lucky ball because there is actual pressure on the ball, which is shocking in the Premier League. Someone's trying to win the ball. That doesn't normally happen. And then it's taken up a little bit of a ricochet. These are all the things that you just have to deal with, but also you have to be looking at the percentages. So what are the percentages? The percentages are they've got more players on the back post than us, so we need to make sure that we can get those numbers and we don't waste players in areas that they do not need to be. And we've got two players here that don't need to be there, only one, and that would afford us to actually mark this unmarked player here, and it would have made things much, much easier for United, but they've just switched off. And I say this before, I talk about this when I haven't mentioned it probably much this year. The difference between sort of Championship players and Premier League players, it used to be, I'd say 15, 20 years ago, what we'd say it was it was about 45 seconds, okay? It's much bigger now. So what we'd say is for 45 seconds in the game, they've switched off. And that doesn't mean they've switched off for, from one, from the 14th minute to the, 14-minute 45. What we mean is for 2 seconds in the game they've switched off, and then another time for 3, I was right at 3, but so 5 seconds, and those add up to a total about 45 seconds when they're not actually concentrating. That's actually gone much further nowadays in the Premier League, and it happens on a much more regular occasion. People just don't focus and concentrate anywhere near as much as they used to, and that's what's happening here. They've both switched off for about 2 seconds on this, just froze, not looked around them, because if one of those players there had just taken a glance, remember the rule, look at the player, look at the ball, look at the player, look at the ball, they would have actually been able to defend this, and they didn't. So it bounces up, bump, off we go, and it just gets knocked into the corner of the goal. It's that simple. I'm going to see if I can find the other angle here, because I think the keeper is absolutely shocking here. His decision making is bad. His weight distribution on his feet are bad, and that happens because his decision making is bad, and because his weight distribution on his feet is wrong after the wrong decision, he can't react to this or do anything. And sometimes, you know what, you just want your keeper to dive. Mate, just dive. Make it look like you care. Jump for the ball. Give us something. Before I show you that keeper, though, I just want to show you how much space he ends up having behind these two United players. You can quite see that's an ocean in football terms, and actual marking there. It's just not good enough. And of course, if one player's on the run and you're stood still, you're never going to stop him, and it makes it for an easy goal. Let's find that clip if I can of Banana. Here it is. Right, so when that ball's coming in, you want your feet to be set, so then you can go. If you watch his feet as the header hits here, look, go, there's his feet set. So from that position, he needs to be able to be in a power, okay, so when you're doing coaching, they come up with rubbish, right? And they call that the power position. The power position basically means you can spring off your feet. He cannot spring off his feet because his stance is so wide, right? Oh, it's brilliantly drawn. I am an amazing artist, let's be honest, right? So his stance is so wide, he can't actually push off his knee and go. So that's why you really can't do it, because, well, it's just too wide a stance. If you've anyone done martial arts or boxing or anything like that, you know how important your feet work is, and you don't go past a certain point because there's no power in your punches or anything. And that's exactly what's happening here. So he's doing this as he goes. Look, he can't really spring off it. And you saw that little double hesitation there? That's when he should be leaping, and he doesn't. So, yeah. Shocking from Banana. Footwork is terrible. And so when I say his decision making, it's the decision making of his footwork that's the important part, because that is a decision he's making. And that footwork is so bad, he can't react and jump to get that. You saw the little double take there, and then he just stands still and watch it go into the net box. Yeah, shocking goalkeeper in my opinion. Let's get on to the next controversial thing, because there's definitely all sorts going on here, and Kyle Walker should have been sent off, and let me show you why. Okay, this is the replay. I was actually trying to find it on Twitter because you can't find it on any of the mainstream or anything like that. And I can't find this clip of actually zooming in showing you here. But what he does, he absolutely kicks over this player here, which is a yellow card. It's off the ball. Potentially, it's cynical, and you could say, okay, maybe even a red, because he's not playing the ball. He's just kicked the player over here. Rasmus Højlund. Right, he just kicks him, look, buff. He just kicks him over. That's where this all starts. So that's a yellow card, because VAR's watching that. They've got to be watching that. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, well, they can't review the incident of that. Well, then why do we have VAR? If a player can just walk up and boot another player over and VAR's not going to review it, why have we got VAR? Right? So this is the problem that starts the whole sort of agitation of all the other nonsense, which he gets a yellow card for. So this one should be a yellow card. Now, personally, I don't think it's a sending off, and I'm not a fan of that sort of nonsense. But that is definitely a yellow card. You can't just go boot a player over, and, you know, it's just the ball's not even there. Definitely a yellow card. So that's where it all starts. Here's Walker then thinking about, you know, who he's going to cheat on his wife with next, right here, trying to look like a tough guy. And then he fakes going down. Absolutely fakes it. You've got the hickey cups. As we're watching here, look, he's just going there, two players going head to head with it. Yeah, let him have it. I mean, I don't think you should ever outlaw this in the game. This is passion. It's what you want. You want your players to care about your team and actually get in the face of the opponents, because they're on so much money. They've got the, you know what, they need to look like they care. And these, well, at least the young kiddie looks like he cares. Walker doesn't care about his own family, so you know he doesn't care about Manchester City. So there we go. And then he just fakes the dive. It's just, look, there's no contact there whatsoever. Is this the ref? No, it's a Man City player. I thought it was the ref coming in then, so I don't know why. And he just fakes himself, fakes his little dive, and he gets shot down from absolute nowhere. Now, the ref gives them both yellow cards here for that incident. Now, I'm not a fan of the simulation. Yeah, you could probably go, that is simulation, and that's a yellow card as well. So, yeah, you know, the problem is a yellow card, whatever. The simulation is a yellow card. So whatever incident, whatever you want to drive from that incident, you can go, yeah, Walker deserves a yellow card for that incident. But he also deserves one for the other one. He doesn't deserve two from this one. One, whatever you want to be. The simulation of the headbutt, getting in the other player's face, disorderly conduct with Rasmus Højlund. So give them both yellow cards. But he still needs a yellow card for the first instance that started it all when he kicked over the other player. I mean, well, he kicked him over. I mean, that's where it all started. But that gets completely overlooked. And, of course, no one's going to talk about it anywhere else because, you know what? They just never tell the truth. He should have gone. Okay, right here, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Manchester United shape because the way it's set up with your three centre-backs, it actually is kind of a cheating wet game of football. We used to call this chicken football when a coach was set up like this because basically what it means is when you're playing against a team that's the 4-3-3 that's just trying to utilise these spaces here, it makes it very difficult because always one of your centre-backs can go out and you still have strength in the middle. But you see when you've got Foden right here, normally he'd be able to find space. But the way that this Amarin system sets up, well, it's not his system, it's just, you know, it's a standard system to be fair, it makes it very difficult to go through the middle. Okay, so everything's very much, they let you have space in certain areas, but they actually play to their advantage. So they'll give you the space out here, but they actually kind of want you to have the space out here because this is the areas they really want to try to nick the football. But they are very, very compact in the middle. And it's the first time in a long time you can actually see that Man United are defending as a team. It's because I don't think they've got a lot of their time wasters on their on the field, like the Marcus Rashfords and the Garnachos, who just don't put a shift in and actually work for the team properly. And it doesn't matter that they track back once in a game and do a thing. It's matter that they're in shape defending properly like this. So when a player with a bit of talent gets on the ball near their 18-yard box, no one even has to do anything. All they have to do is pretty much stand still and the shape takes care of everything. So as he goes and ducks, look, you can see just then one guy gets past, doesn't matter because there's another guy close enough there to back him up. I don't know if he gets his shot off here. We'll have a little look. But you see there's nowhere for him to go because through the middle, it's all tight and compact. That's because they're keeping their shape important. And as the shape contracts defensively and then expands attacking wise, it seems to be like he's starting to try to find out the right personnel he needs to do this job. As we go, Bosch gets his shot off and it's pretty tame because there's no real gaps. I'm shocked the keeper didn't let it. Actually, I think it goes wide because if he's on target, the keeper probably would have let it in. But let's get on to the next goals. And before you ask, no, I'm not a United fan. Before I start saying this is definitely a penalty, he's not touching the ball. He's nowhere near. He's actually making contact there, taking the player down. I mean, it's awful, awful decision making that's not a penalty. I heard there was a lot of commentary going on. There's a lot of buzz on Twitter that the one of the pundits, Gary, I'm an idiot, said to the referee that they have. And he said, oh no, you can't give a penalty for that in a game like this. What? So the rules change depending on what type of game it is? Like, you can't, like, the rules are the rules. You don't just change it because one guy's wearing a Man United shirt, the other guy's wearing a Man City shirt. I mean, that's awful. The fact that they've blatantly told you that they're cheating and everyone's like, oh, no, they're not cheating. Yeah, they're definitely not cheating. Well, you just said you were cheating because you can't give a penalty like that in a game like this. If that's not cheating, I don't know what is. But yeah, that's definitely a penalty. They've been open and honest that they're cheating. It's about time everybody waked up to it. But let's now move on to the next penalty. I think it is. It starts here with the ball getting nicked. I think it starts here anyway. I'm just going to play this clip because I want to show you this part anyway of actual player doing something right. And this is what I like. Modern players go down too easy. Look, he could have gone down right easily there and got Doku booked. As we move it forward, it's going on. Doku's chasing after him. And he's honest and he's staying on his feet. This is what makes you a good football player. When you do things like this, good things happen for your team. When you're constantly just trying to get free kicks and, you know, it's just play. You'll be better because overall you'll have, it's a mentality, okay? So it's more than just playing football. Think of it this way. There's two types of players. A player that falls over all the time, okay? Or a player that drives on. Which one wants to win the game? The one that's driving on all the time, that's striving forward. The one who's just getting free kicks is his quitter. Yeah, he's just going for the easy option, not really that fast. He's not really a winner. In here, he's not a winner. He's just, I'll take a free kick. I'll do whatever. They're not the people you want on your team. You want the ones that are still driving when the referee's blowing the whistle. They're still running down the field trying to score a goal. They're the ones that you build your team on. Not people that just dive or try to get any old other free kick, Jack Grealish, because there's no heart in them. They're not people you can rely on. And right here, when this comes in, you can see, look, Bosch goes in, dives down, and he just carries on going anyway. Brilliant. Well done. Because when people do something good, you need to call it out so people continue to do things that are good. Off he goes, and then the play continues. My bad, this is the play when Ratface completely missed a goal with an easy opportunity for someone of his ability. Now, this was the other interesting thing when I was watching this game. Man City didn't have that really many clear-cut opportunities where you could go, oh, that was, they could have got a goal there. Ederson had to make, I think, at least one decent save from a header that was on target. But there was another opportunity that, this should have been a goal. It really should have been. Just Ratface is just being Ratface. Here's the other penalty that I have a problem with that nobody else is actually calling out and pointing out as well. Okay, so this ball's getting knocked back right here. And you could... Right, so when you're doing things wrong with your team and things aren't going right, there's certain things like the weight of the pass. You just... it's a little bit of laziness. When I'm going, it's just laziness. You're so used to be doing the right thing all of the time, and you're crisp and you're sharp and you're fresh and you pop. But then all of a sudden things are changing and you're a little bit lazy, a little bit lackadaisical in your pass, and you're not even paying attention over here. And this is one of the ways that this system is set up. Defensively, you're kind of solid, but when we pressure you on the side, we're waiting for you to make a pass, and the guy up front has to put in a lot of work. I don't think he's up front. I think they've kind of played with the three, and they wrote, I used to play this system. I used to kind of love it because it was easy to coach. It really was. So the guy with pace, off he goes on that pass, and now it's a foot race. That is a shocking pass at this level. Absolutely shocking. He leaves his goalkeeper in absolute no man's land. And to be fair, the keeper does quite well, because if he kept overcommitting there, it would have just gone round him and slotted it into the net box. He actually does quite well, and I've been ragging on him in the last couple of weeks because his decision-making of coming out has been really poor of late. Ederson's very, very poor. He doesn't look like the keeper of yesteryear. So he actually makes quite a right decision here, and what he's ending up doing is basically just pushing the player wide. I think that's a bad touch. It's not very good, to be honest. But it doesn't have to be, because he's only got the keeper to beat. So he's relying, I suppose he's relying on his pace just to knock it, try to get round him and see what he can do. Does recover though. The keeper does recover, okay, and actually holds him up. But here comes the cavalry. That's kind of what he's waiting for. And when the cavalry come in, they completely and utterly wipe him out. Now here's my problem with it. Is it a penalty? 100% it's a penalty. Is it a yellow card? 100% it's a yellow card, but yet doesn't get booked. So how are you giving that as a penalty, and the guy has completely nailed him, and you're not giving a yellow card for it? I remember the referee told us on the telly, he said, we don't do things like that in this game. Yeah, that's right. When you watched it, though, he absolutely flattens the kid. Flattens him. Here we are from the other angle, just coming in so you can see it. Dorsch flattens him. That's the yellow card all day long. All day long. Takes him right out, yeah. Ratface does what Ratface does. Gets himself a goal on the score sheet for not really doing anything in the game, and now everyone thinks he's done well, other than missing, that goal that he should have had. Yeah, gets himself a goal, gets himself on the score sheet, and off he goes. Okay, a couple of things to talk about here. Unfortunately, I can't really play everything I want to show you, just because it's too long. But this is a worldy pass. This is a quality pass. But also, there's a problem here. Look at this back line, right? That, you might not think it's a lot, but those two not being in line is huge. Not being in line, that's huge. What are they doing? Their shape is awful. And here's the problem, right? So if you've got this much space between the ball here, this line has to drop to where he is. These two have gone too far forward because there's zero pressure on the ball, which is very, very un-Manchester City-like. So one of their players, and probably, I don't know, it's probably Kyle Walker. He might have actually done something. No, I don't think it is. Back here doing something right. It's a bit blurry. I can't see. And these two guys need to be back, making sure that they don't allow these deep penetrating long runs in. And the other thing is, Man City would always have mad pressure on the ball. They don't have any. All of that zest and guile from Man City of pressuring the ball and winning it back in 6 seconds, the old La Masia Barcelona way of doing football, they're not even close to doing it. So for him to pick this pass out, it's a good pass, yeah, but he does have all the time in the world. He still has to execute it. He still has to have the vision, but he does brilliant. Brilliant. You can't deny it. Just going to show you, as his legs pulled back, look. He's already making the run, already understanding it. These two players are not. they aren't tracking the run properly. Do we see that? These guys, you can see their body shape. They've already identified it. It's going in behind. Those two haven't yet. Do you see that? These two are running. These two haven't. So that ball gets dropped into the space. And because they don't have a cohesive line, you can see that there's a pocket of space that's opened up right here. Can we see that? Blah, blah, blah. Right there. Because there is no shape. They are not in any way, form, a sort of shape at all. They're like a 2 and a 2 and a all over the place. Remember, there's a reason you hold your shape, because it stops balls penetrating through the gaps. There's billions of things. If you don't have one, things like this happen and runs in from deep into the space and the gap that you've opened up in the middle of the field become really, really easy. Some of that gap as well is because I think City were trying to deploy a 3 at the back and some other technical wizardry, and every time Pep Guardiola changes away from his normal formula, he loses. If you want proof of that, go back, I'd say 4 years ago in the Champions League. He always had some game he'd have to win, and he would just tinker with everything, and it'd all be a mess, and he'd end up losing. But there's still a lot of work to do here. And this young kiddie, this first touch isn't so good, but he's not really trying to have a good first touch. What you're really trying to do is touch the ball and hope that you don't mess it up. All right? That's what you're trying to do. So as this ball's coming down, you're going, can I get a touch on it? Yes, that's it. That's all you're looking to do. Make sure that it doesn't go to the keeper, and that's it. Is it the best? No. Is it the worst? No. All you're trying to do is make sure it doesn't run through to the keeper and then try to finish it up, something else off later. When this bounces back in, though, he gets up a little bit too high. And why it's a little bit too high is because it's waiting so long for it to come down. But if I don't think I can. There isn't one actually. I don't think there's another angle. I had a little look around. I can remember on the live game, you can see his concentration levels as he's watching the ball come down. He doesn't take his eye off it. I'll see if I can find it to show you. That's what makes you different. All right, actually watching the ball come all the way down and hit your foot. Don't assume that you know where it's going. Those players that can keep their eye on that ball all the way down to the moment it hits their foot, they're the better players. That's it. You've got to assume you're going to get hit, assume there's going to be some impact. You just watch that ball come down, and then it's a really, really tight finish into the corner, and he does a very good job of it as well. As it comes down, dosh, bosh, right in there. Man City, you need to be better. Other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.